How's it going, ladies and gents? The number one request on my channel, apart from a Let's Play of Spyro the Dragon 2, is that I do a competitive guide to Pokemon battling. And this guide is sort of meant to encompass sort of all ways of doing it. Like, you can do it via, plain DS Wi-Fi, or you can do it via online simulators like Pokemon Online, Pokemon Showdown, that kind of stuff. So hopefully this guide kind of covers all of it, but if you're looking specifically to find out how to, generate Pokemon on the DS, play it via Wi-Fi, and then transfer your save file back to the PC for recording purposes, I made a separate guide on that, so check out the video description and it'll be in there. But if you also want to check out specific sections of competitive battling, like maybe you want to find out what EVs are, or you want to find out sort of a basic introduction to like predicting in battles and that kind of stuff, check out the time codes in the description. It'll go down sort of in order that I do them, and you can just skip to the section you want pretty much. So without further ado, let's get on with the show! Alright, so first things first, if you want to do a competitive battle, you've got to pick the tier you want to play in. Now the tier is, like, there's 5 different tiers here. There's also a couple of extra ones like sort of in-between tiers where they're not sure if Pokemon should be in one tier or another, but for the main part, these are the 5 main tiers. And the way it works is, Pokemon are divided into the tiers based on their usefulness. Well, it is essentially just how much they are used in battles. And you'd think that the more useful a Pokemon is, like the more powerful it is, the more people are going to use it. So the tiers aren't directly decided on how good a Pokemon is, although there is some correlation between how good it is and how much people are going to use it, obviously. So, a couple of examples here. You got stuff like Mewtwo, Ho-Oh, Reshiram in the Uber tier. And then if you go right down to the other end of the spectrum, you've got Electrode, Floatzel, and Rapidash in the lower tiers. Now, obviously, you can probably tell that stuff like Mewtwo is going to be better than Electrode, even if you have no competitive experience whatsoever. Intuition tells you that a legendary is going to be better than Electrode, right? So that's pretty much the basics of the tiers. By the way, you can also play, when you choose a tier to play, if someone's asking for an OU match, you'd expect them all to bring OU Pokemon like Ferrothorn, Dragonite, Politoed, but it doesn't mean that you can't bring stuff from lower tiers, so if you really felt like it, bring a Rapidash to OU, see how long that lasts. You get the freedom of choosing lower tiers if you really want to, so that's always nice. And you do get a lot of people asking for mixed tier battles, so they might say 3 from OU, 3 from UU, and just play it out, So you just pick 3 from each and just go at it. Potentially, Pokemon from the lower tiers, like Crustle could probably take on, I don't know, Ho-Oh for example, with 1 Stone Edge or something. So there are situations where a lower tier Pokemon can beat a higher tier Pokemon, but it's sort of generalizing how useful they are in general against everything, so that's the sort of rough division of tiers. The tiers are decided by a community called Smogon, however you want to say it. It's a website where you can find out loads of good information on tiers, team building, that kind of stuff, and they are basically the authority for choosing tiers. They change it every couple of months, I think, so I'll link you to the current tiers as of now, but they'll change every so often, so, keep an eye out for that. Alright, so once you've picked a tier you want to play, you want to start building your team. Now, this is a screenshot from the Mariland Team Builder, which is linked in the video description as well. Now, this here is just probably one of the most basic cookie-cutter NU teams you can possibly see. You got Sork, Wartortle, Golurk, Tangela, Charizard, and Electabuzz. Now, as you can see from here, it shows you a chart of your weakness and resistances on the team. Now, this is a fairly balanced team, and, this is sort of, like I said, a team which you see quite a lot, so it's pretty common. It's tried and tested, it works, believe me. I've been against it many a time, and it's pretty damn hard to break through. So you can see that the weaknesses, there's only ever a maximum of 2 weaknesses to any particular type. So it doesn't have any crippling weakness to any particular type, which is what you're looking for. So for example, if you had 4 weak to fire, that would probably be a bad sign that you need some kind of fire resistance on your team. Now, I gotta be honest, I know what a good team is, but I often choose not to build a good team just for the sake of me being a hipster and not wanting to go over the crowd, but honestly, if you want a good team, start with something like this. It's really basic, really simple, and it's effective, that's the thing. And what you want to do is, when you pick your Pokemon within the tier, and like I said, there's a list of the Pokemon in each tier in the video description, what you want to do is select the roles that each Pokemon will play. Because they're not all going to be offensive Pokemon, they're not all going to be, you know, 4 attacks doing as much damage as they can, so I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what to do and what not to do when it comes to choosing your teammates. Like I said, when you've worked out your sort of typings on your team you want, so as you don't have too many weaknesses to any particular type, and the moves you've chosen for your Pokemon can cover sort of a wide spectrum of different types to go against, that's when you've got it sorted. So while you're considering that, also consider the roles your team will play. So to give you sort of a basic example, the normal sort of team structure that people tend to run is they'll have 2 walls, which are just defensive Pokemon, 2 sweepers, and then either 2 more walls or 2 more sweepers, or like a mixture of both. The team structure I tend to run is 2 physical sweepers, 2 special sweepers, and then just 1 physical wall and 1 special wall. Now this team here, this actually has, I think this has the same sort of structure. It's got 1 physical wall, which is Tangela, special wall is Wartortle, Charizard and Electabuzz make up the special sweepers, and Sork and Golok are there just as the physical sweepers. Obviously the walls are there to take damage. If they bring in a big threatening Pokemon, you want to switch in your physical wall to deal physical attacks, special wall to take the special attacks, and then hopefully you can take it well enough such that, you know, you're going to force them to switch out, and then you can go into your Pokemon again to try and do some more damage. That's the point of the walls, take the damage, so then you can go into the sweepers to do damage back to them. Now if we take a closer look at Sork, this is just your standard physical sweeper set, close combat, Stone Edge, Earthquake and Ice Punch. Now using this, which is Pokemon Showdown, you can literally just go into it and edit the Pokemon how you want to. I literally made this Sork about 5 minutes ago, really quick, really easy. Just select the moves you want, and the item, Choice Band because it gives it more power. Generally the most common items are Choice Band, which gives you 50% more power, but you're locked into one particular move you choose. Choice Scarf is the same but with speed, and Choice Specs is the same but with special attack. Now an item I love to use is Life Orb, which gives you freedom of choice of moves, but it doesn't give you quite the same boost as the Choice Band or Choice Specs, and you have to take 10% damage every time you attack. Leftovers is also a popular option because it gives you a little bit of HP recovery each turn, but no added power obviously, so depending on your teammate role, pick your item carefully. The ability is always important. A lot of abilities are, you know, pretty handy for tight situations, so definitely check out what abilities are available to each Pokemon. The moveset, that's a fairly standard one for Sork, but obviously there's a wide variety of stuff available to you. Generally the standard sets are the best ones to go for, but if you want to be unpredictable, go for a bit of variety. Throw in a Copycat or a T-Wave in there somewhere just to throw them off, why not? Now looking at the EVs there, I mentioned EV training or EV generating in my other video, which is in the description once again. But as you can see there, I've got 252 EVs in attack, 252 EVs in speed. The EVs are essentially just, like, it stands for effort values, and what it does is sort of augment that particular stat. So, you know, without those EVs, the attack and speed would be much lower. The IVs you don't really need to worry about unless you have Hidden Power, which is like a 70 base power move, which can be any type you want it to be, but for the most part IVs are all going to be 31 on each. But if you really want to check it out, there's a guide to hidden powers in the video description. Now that is a max attack, max speed Sork, Adamant Nature, which the nature can add 10% to one stat whilst taking away 10% from another, so obviously there I've got plus attack and minus special attack because that's the most effective thing for a Sork. And that is your basic physical attacker Sork. However, look at its special attack stat. That base special attack stat is absolutely terrible. So obviously what you want to do is when you make your teams, you want to choose the stats that benefit the Pokemon the best. So it would be pointless having Sork as a special attacker because its special attack is so piss poor. You may as well have it as a physical attacker. So with that being said, you do have a lot of Pokemon which are pretty versatile, like you can have a few different roles. So I'll show you now of Tangela because it's a pretty good example of this. Now Tangela in this particular example is a physical wall, max physical defense, max HP, and Diviolite, which boosts the defense and special defense of non-fully evolved Pokemon. The moveset is pretty defensive. Sleep Powder, afflicting status is always helpful, like sleep or paralysis. Leech Seed is really good for getting back HP on stuff with high HP. Hidden Power Ice and Giga Drain are just there because it could probably do with a couple of attacking moves. Doesn't necessarily need it, but I'd highly recommend having at least one attacking move on every wall, even if you don't want to use it. Now Tangela, of course, as well as being a great physical wall, which is what you normally see it as, you can also run a set like this, which is not completely out of the question, my friends. Tangela has a good special attack stat, its base stat at least, and if you invest in it fully, it's going to be pretty good as like a choice spec set or life orb or whatever. And then if you take damage, you can just switch out and use its regenerator ability to get back your HP. So, you know, definitely do not underestimate the special attacking Tangela. So you pick your Pokemon and then, you know, they can be a number of different roles depending on what you want. So, you know, it's up to you really. Go crazy. Be creative. Alright, let's go on to predictions. Now predictions, when you're playing competitively, is what it's all about. It basically comes down to just a game of chess. It is just, you know, rock, paper, scissors, you know, knowing what beats what, thinking what they're going to do based on their past actions. So, first turn here, I assume he'll go for an Ice type move because Murkrow is weak to the Ice type move, so I can go to Rapidash, who does resist it. Now this could have been risky because had he gone for an Earthquake predicting that, Rapidash would have died. But because I was so sure he'd go for the Ice type move, I can go to Rapidash, take it, and then go for a heavy hit on the Piloswine before he inevitably kills me off next turn. Now next turn I can go into my Basculin because it seems like the best thing to take on the Piloswine. Now I assume he'll want to go for the priority Ice Shard, which would get some damage on me before I kill him, so I go for my own priority, which is Aqua Jet, and because I am naturally faster, my priority outspeeds his priority, so now in comes the Emboar. I suspect that the Emboar is quicker than me because I don't have any speed investment, so naturally I know if he gets off a hit, Basculin's going to die because it's frail as hell. So I go into Sandshrew, my dedicated physical wall of the team. I know I'm probably going to die to 2 hits because he does outspeed me, but that's sort of the lesser of 2 evils. I'd rather have Sandshrew die than Basculin, which is a lot more valuable at this point in time based on his team. So I let Sandshrew die, that's fair enough. Now I can go back to Basculin. Now I'm so sure that he's not going to want to stay in. He has -2 defense, so he's definitely going to die to an Aqua Jet. So I figure he might want to go to his Tangela, which is a dedicated physical wall. Obviously resists the water type move, so I go for an Ice Beam predicting that. Luckily it does take down the Tangela, so that is a big defensive threat out the way. So that's basically an introduction to predictions. If you think they're going to do something, you switch up your move based on that, so a lot of it's depending on how you judge your opponent, like their past actions, how good a player you think they are, so it all depends on, you know, varying on the situation really, but once you get the hang of predicting, it can really save you some games, and, you know, even if you have a really terrible team, predictions can still win you the match even if you're horribly outmatched, so that's all about predictions. So I think that's pretty much everything covered, so if you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section below and I'll get back to you on that. And all the links I mentioned, they'll be in the video description, so have a look through there. There'll be hopefully everything you need in there, like IV calculators for hidden power, the different tiers as of now, that kind of stuff, so, you know, check it out. Hope you all enjoyed, and with that being said, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.